Well, let's try this out. See if I can do this without hacking up a lung. See if anybody comes in here. Oh, there's one. That was quick. No. And just like that, they're gone. And there's another. 2. Hey, we're getting a few. Hey, there's Mike. How we doing, Mr. Massey? Man. Hi, Mr. Crane and Mr. Carl. Oh, I'm still trying to get over this junk. Somebody was nice enough to leave me a present at work. Hey, cutie pie. Yeah, Mark, I'm a little rough. I'll be honest. I'm still here, though, but I still want to hack up a lung now and then. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. What's up, Steven? I'm still kind of hurt all over. Oh, somebody was able to, I don't know what to, I'm not going to call it anything because I'm not going to give them the liberty of doing testing. But I talked to another subscriber. He's down in Texas, and he says that everyone around him's got the same junk. It gets in your lungs, and I mean, it's just like anything else when you get sick. But my wife's not too happy with me. I gave it to her. I apologize, but sometimes you can't help it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, she's actually being halfway civil tonight. She usually gets pretty ornery. Well, don't bother me none. I think it's kind of funny. Believe me, I've been called worse. So that's kind of nice, really. It's all bueno. Well, I've been, excuse me, kind of off and on working on Charlie. That's that old Sable I've got. Ended up having to put a gas tank in it with a new fuel pump, fuel filter. Got it running, and it was missing. So I started working on it today. Was looking at plugs and thought I just had an ignition coil bad, so I bought an ignition coil for it. Put that in there, and of course that wasn't it. So I ended up taking the fuel rail off and taking all the fuel injectors out, cleaning all them up, getting all the gunk out of the screens, and flushing the fuel rail out. And of course, the fuel rail had a bunch of crap in it too. So I'm sure that's what it was. Put everything back together, and lo and behold, it runs on all 6 again. I'm using my mic instead of typing. That's interesting. Voice recognition software. Oh, you probably on your phone. If that's the case, I totally understand because it's just like when you're typing something, sometimes when you fat finger it or something like that, it comes up with the strangest crap and you hit send before you look at what you just wrote. So, yeah, I get that. But at any rate, so far I only missed one day of work because of this junk, so I'm good. I think I'd been battling this for probably since the beginning of February. I just kind of felt kind of awkward, and more so than I am on a normal basis. But um, I had school a week ago Thursday, and I was out at the training center and talking to the guys. We're BSing about transmissions, and anyway, I was sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I got the jitters like nobody's business. I was like shaking and all sorts of crap, and um, I was like, "What the hell's going on?" You know, I didn't. Of course, my head had hurt all day. Um, you know, my head had hurt when I drove out there, but you know, I didn't think nothing of it, and so I got the jitters, and I thought, well, hell, maybe my blood sugar's out of whack. So, you know, we got done with class. And I went out there and checked my blood sugar. No, it was fine. So I was like, well, I didn't think nothing of it. And so I went to work on Friday, and I felt crappy on Friday. Not not bad, but just the pressure in my head was just unreal. And Saturday morning, I woke up, and sure enough, here it is. I told the wife that Friday, I says, I think I'm getting sick. And so I woke up Saturday, and there it was. Started hacking up a lung, and so I relaxed Saturday and Sunday. Monday I still didn't feel whoopee, so I took Monday off, and then went back to work on Tuesday. And it's been breaking up, but it's a little slow. There's still a bunch of it. Just sitting here talking to you, I can feel it in my lungs. But you know, just like any other time, if there's a time that I get sick, it's usually this time of year. So I'm not surprised. I think that's, you know, 2 years ago when they came out with this crap that I don't want to say the word because I don't want it to get the keywords to come up there and start flagging video and so on and so forth, because the people that are flagging everything. Let's put it that way. I got to be careful which words to use, but anyway, they'll watch it and it'll trigger something. I'm not going to do that, but club fingers. Yeah, I got sausages here, so they don't fit a little Samsung keyboard very well. So I get that. Hey, while I got you all in here, if you do me a favor and help me out and hit that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Um, my videos keep going, and oh, I froze. Oh, I'm sorry. That's kind of weird. It didn't freeze on my end or say it was buffering or anything like that, but yeah, it's pretty deep. It's kind of raspy and everything else, but I know I'm on the downhill side of it. Just got to get over it. It's supposed to be really chilly tonight here. But then I guess next week it's supposed to be in the 80s next week here, low to mid 80s, and supposed to be like 60 degrees in the morning. So if I feel well enough, I'm gonna get the 2-wheeler out and ride that to work. Need some wind therapy. Plus, getting a lot of extra ram air up my nose makes you feel pretty good too. Woo, 32. Yeah, it's supposed to be like 38 or 39 down here tonight. So it's gonna get chilly again, but then it's supposed to warm back up. Nice. 61. Yeah, we've been having those temperatures down here, and then like I said, it's cooled off for this night, and then it's supposed to be sunny all next week and in the 80s. So that's the bad thing about Florida. You really don't have a winter, and you really don't have a spring. Or a fall. I mean, it goes from one extreme to the other. So it'll start warming up. Oh, excuse me. It'll start warming up pretty quick. And then, of course, I've had the thermostat set on auto, so it toggles between the heat and the air. And so I made a joke about it the other day on Facebook. I was like, it's February and we got the AC on. Well, I could understand that, Mike, but I mean that's a good reason to do it. Now, being a male, I don't know if I could handle that. You know what I'm talking about. Being a male, we've got kind of a thermostat down there about midway up your legs. And it doesn't fare too well in extreme changes in temperature. Yeah, exactly, Mike. That's funny. Pretty much. You start singing soprano. Mark, on yours, I've been watching some YouTube Howard and LS motor with DOD delete, and it's just, man, I tell you what, if I had one of those engines, that'd be the very first thing I'd do. Oh my Lord. Guys, I'm going to tell you, the new stuff's even worse. I have never seen as many lifter failures as we have on those 5.3s. And the new ones, what they're doing, when the lifter fails, it actually, what it's doing is, your lifter has got, you get your body, your lifter's like this long, this exaggerated. But on an AFM lifter, they have actually a spring on the top of it. Okay. And so the way this thing works is when it applies oil to it, it locks the lifter in the open position. In other words, say this is your valve, This is your valve, and this is your lobe. So when this thing locks open, what happens is anytime the cam rotates, this valve will stay shut, and the lifter will actually go up and down inside the bore. Okay. When it unlocks, that thing, it will then let both these move in unison and open the valve. I know that's kind of a strange diagram, but what these things are doing now is they're breaking inside the lock mechanism. So when it fails, of course, this valve stays shut and it shoves the fuel and everything in that cylinder when it does it. And so it's actually like somebody's taking a ball peen hammer on top of the engine. I mean, it's loud, and it freaks a lot of people out. Um, but they're absolutely terrible. I swear, there's probably between all of us guys, there's that do the heavy line. We're probably doing 2, 3, 4 a week. It's ridiculous. It really is. Yeah. Terry, that freaking Hoonigan Camaro is a bad mofo. Uh, Holy crap, that thing's cool as all get out. And I like the scheme they did on the paint and the wheels. I mean, it looks exactly like a Hot Wheels car, and that's very tastefully done Hot Wheels car. You know, because you'd see something growing up, you'd get the Hot Wheels, and they'd have it set up like that, and it looks just like it, and that's what's cool about it. You know, they did a 5th gen Camaro Hot Wheels version, and it didn't look too bad, but I think the Hoonigan looks a lot better. Hey, Jerry, what's going on? Yeah, Mike, I don't know that I get those. I don't get some of the new stuff. I get the new stuff, but I get the transmissions. That's what I do, obviously. Um, Now I guess the big thing is now, and that's what we were talking about at school. The things that are failing now are the 10 speeds. The 10 speeds use um, a gear to gear oil pump. Um, the 6L80 and anything of its predecessor, rear wheel drive, the oil pump was driven off of the torque converter itself. Now, what they've done, like on the 8L90, they have a divorced oil pump. It just basically has on the 8L90, it has a gear on the converter and then a gear on the pump. The pump is actually mounted on the valve body, and it's got a chain that drives it. Well, in their infinite wisdom on the 10 speeds, they made that gear to gear. So there's a gear on the front of the cover that drives an idler gear that drives a gear on the pump. And it's also mounted, but it's not mounted on the valve body. On the 10 speed, the pump is separate from the valve body, but it is bolted in the same area as the valve body. Well, so now what's happening on these 10 speeds now is there's a bearing, a little roller bearing that the idler gear sits on, and that bearing is failing. And what it does, like this one I got, it chucked the roller balls out of the bearing, got wedged in the teeth of the idler gear, and just tore the bejesus out of the both the drive gear and the pump gear. I mean, it sounded bad. It sounded like a car. I don't know if anybody ever messed with a timing belt car, but if you get one of those timing belts too tight, they howl. They make a whirling noise and just make all sorts of ruckus. Well, that's what this 10-speed was doing with a rattle in between, and that's because the idler wasn't fixed solid anymore. It was flopping around inside the house, and it just tore up that cover and tore up the gears. I've been waiting 3 weeks to get parts for it. I got everything except for the front cover bolts, because the front cover bolts are a one-time use bolt, and they're just not there. So, um, I talked to the guys when I was at the class, and they said that there's a couple of them that have been getting them left and right. Hang on, I gotta go check on my oven stuff. I'll be right back. Y'all ever watched the movie The Matrix? Surely you have. It's one of the creepiest movies that makes you think about uh, the computer world and everything else. And I keep going back to the same series where Neo goes and meets the Oracle, and they're in the kitchen, and she's baking cookies, and all I can think of her saying is "almost done." And don't worry about the vase. What vase? And then, of course, he knocks the vase off, and she goes, I says, "Don't worry about it." But and then she goes, "You want to hear something crazy? Is would it still have broken it if I hadn't have said anything?" Something to that effect. Anyway, um, some of my favorite movies. But anyway, I got brownies in the oven. I got a kind of a chocolate fix that's bugging me. I got to take care of. So brownies, Mark, brownies. Astro out finally ran a 12.9. Right on. Yeah, everybody's going to start warming up before too long, Jerry. I think we're all ready for it. But I always wanted to take, Mike, I always wanted to take one of those Astros that were all-wheel drive and play with it. Find out how much power that viscous clutch transfer case can hold up. I think you'd probably have to change it to a different style transfer case would be my idea. But bring on the hunting and the fishing. I never have been much on on either. I used to fish all the time with my grandpa growing up, and got a lot of great memories with it. He had this little um, aluminum boat that he had a 9.9 Evinrude on the back of it, and I can remember riding that thing, and that front of that boat would be high in the air, and we'd go fishing early in the morning, which was great. Miss my grandpa, miss my dad. Just didn't really have the patience for it. Really? An Astro van with a five? I don't think I've ever seen one with a 5-speed. It had to have been an early year. Like 85 was the first year they came out with that, I do believe. Hang on, I go get my brownies out. I know. All right. Indiana has a wild bobcat population going way up. Yeah, right. They had, granted the homemade ones are a little bit better, but you couldn't pass up a brownie mix in a box for $1. That's the only thing that's halfway cheap right now. '89 extended original had the 2.8. A 2.8 at an Astro van? What? I didn't even think they put the 2.8 in an Astro van. I thought they were all 4.3s. I have never seen one. That is crazy. That's one of them rarity vehicles that you just don't hear about now. Anyway, so yeah. Hey, I don't know if how many of y'all are religious folks, and I don't want to create an opinion or anything like that. But all I can say is, if y'all don't follow what's going on up north right now, you probably should be, and pray for those fine folks up there. I'm not going to spell it out. I don't want to go any further than that. It's just something that's on my mind. Pray for them folks. Well, the Astro vans were unibody anyway, were they not, Mike? Weren't they a unibody frame? It had a leaf spring rear and a subframe in the front. Trying to think if there's some other rare cars that you may not have seen. Paper thin with pinholes. Yeah. I thought it was a unibody. I wonder if you couldn't take a unibody out of a later model one and stick in there. But you said the body was pretty rough on it too. I still remember that guy that I can't remember what the hell his name was, but he was a tech that I worked with, and he was a redheaded dude, and he had a two-tone blue Astrovan two-wheel drive that had a 350 in it with a pretty stout cam. Yeah, that one too, Jerry. The 91 Olds Tornado. Now, see, I loved those Tornados. Man, they were good looking cars. I've been I've kind of, it's kind of thing you think about some of the cars that you thought were cool back then, and you really wanted to do something with them, and that was one of them. I always thought that was a sleek car, the Tornado Trofeo or whatever they call it. It had the slick ass and the slick nose on it. They had the kind of like the turbine style wheels on it. Man, they looked good. They were a good looking car. One that I liked a lot was the Grand Prix SE, like 96. I thought that was a really good looking car. And you could have got one of those with that 3.4 twin cam or quad cam, whatever they called it, that 3.4 liter dual overhead cam and a 5-speed. And they only made them for 1 or 2 years because they had a hell of a time keeping the 5-speed in it. That engine just made so much power, and they were detuned too. They were rated, I think, at 215 horse, I think, is what they were rated at back then. And that was detuned. That engine was capable of a ton of power. The heads that they had for them flowed so well. It was just crazy how much power that thing would make. Speaking of which, the Z24 Cavalier, before they went to the rounded body, which was what, 95? So it would have been like a 92, 93, somewhere in there, the square body one. There was an old boy that had one of those. It was a 5-speed car that he took a intake off of a Camaro and flipped it around so the throttle body was on the driver's side, and he managed to put a turbo on one of those and a pretty decent cam in it. And he was running at the time, I think, high 11s with this car out of a front wheel drive Cavalier that had a 2.8 in it that was turboed. '95 Grand Prix. That would have been a front drive. It wouldn't have been a T5 though. It would have been a jet drag 5-speed. Well, wait a minute. 95. I don't know that it would have been a jet drag. It may have been an Isuzu. Here, I can tell you that real quick. I bet. Let me see if I can still pull that up. Might be able to. Excuse me. Fat finger my damn password. Did it again. Sure shit. Oh, try this one more time. There we go. Third time's a charm. I don't know if I can. Oh, that's nice. Well, for the longest time, there we go. I knew there's just got to be a back door to it. Well, I can do 97. But it's only going to show me rear wheel drive. There we go. 95. Pontiac Grand Prix. Nah, it's just going to show me bulletins. I think on that older one, it's not going to show me. Because 97 was the start of the new body style. That was the wide track, what they called it. So 96 was the last year for kind of the rounded body. Wait a minute. Yeah, see, it's only showing me 96. So it was probably 94, 95 is when they did that, because 96, the only thing that you get was the 4T60. Which was just the automatic. They don't show the manual. They did have the 3.4X motor, though. That's the one I was thinking of. I don't know if it'll tell me what the specs are, that dude. Yeah, see, that thing was only 9.5 to 1 compression. They called that the LQ1. Doesn't spring oil pump, doesn't tell me anything else about it, but anyway. Hey, Mark, on your '04 Suburban, trans only has first, third, and reverse. Uh, that means you broke a sun shell. That was common on those. Um, yeah, I mean, if you want to follow one of my videos, I mean, you can. Um, it's pretty easy. I mean, I go through it and go to one of the 4L60E videos, and it's something that you can replace fairly easy. I mean, if you're okay with going inside an automatic, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can do it. Which you don't like, yeah, I can understand. But yeah, I think I explain it well enough that, I mean, if you wanted to tackle it, you could just watch one of the videos and set it up there somewhere where you want to do it. If you want to try it, I mean, it's pretty. I say it's pretty easy, but I've also been doing it for quite a few years. Mike, I agree to that. They did have some electrical gremlins, that's for sure. Of course, we get um, we get some new stuff that's got gremlins in it. Four-cylinder turbo Silverado. One of the other guys has got one. He can't find the brake in it anywhere, and it's setting a bunch of codes. He had to order. I think he ordered a whole engine harness for it because, I mean, otherwise you're just chasing your feet trying to figure out what the heck's wrong with this thing. So, well, hell, Mike, if you did a band, you're not far off from halfway in the transmission anyway, unless you're just talking about replacing the servo on the side. But and what are you talking on, Mark? I mean, the sun shell is, the last time I checked, was like $80. There, I actually have my little cheat sheet right here. Well, it was cheaper than that. $46 is, well, that's from my supplier, so I don't know if you can get it any cheaper. I found the prices on my stuff is about the same as you can buy it off of eBay, but it's called the Beast Sunshell, is the one that I use. It's a good heavy duty sunshell. You'll probably never break that dude again. And you'll need some gaskets, a few gaskets here and there. You can buy a lot of the gaskets and seals individually, or you can get just a paper and rubber kit. Um, like a paper rubber kit for, filters, like $8. Paper, if you get the whole paper and rubber kit, which comes with your Teflon seals and all that good stuff, which I definitely recommend you replace the Teflon seals on the input shaft anytime you take it apart. It's cheap insurance. Same ones with the stator shaft. Um, but you can get a kit for $100. You can replace the band while you're in there. Um, they're about $15. Just a little stuff like that. It's not real bad. Well, this Mike on this 21 Silverado is what I was talking about. Um, there is a bulletin out for chafed wires. Here's the problem. On a lot of these new Silverados, they make the harness too short. Um, and they have, of course, another company that makes the harness, and then they, of course, they ship it through GM's channels and so on and so forth. But the the harness 9 times out of 10 is too short from the factory, and so when they stretch it, it rubs on. They're talking about it rubbing on the front top of the cam cover, or down around the strut tower bolt. Um, but again, finding a short in a wire like that this truck has got thousands and thousands of wires. Um, it's crazy the amount of wires that are in one of these new vehicles. If you guys laid this thing out and looked at it side by side, you'd be astounded how many wires are in this car or in a truck, period. Mark, if the clutches look okay, if you're not having any trouble with anything else, then I would say no. But here's something I am going to suggest to you. If you're going in there and you're replacing that sun shell, I would highly, highly recommend replacing the Ford Sprag while you're there, making sure you get you a 29 element Sprag and stick in there. That's the other failure prone part for those. And the Ford Sprag is like $35. It's the Ford Sprag. You'd have to disassemble the 3/4 clutch and the Ford clutch. But I mean, it'll give you an idea to look at those clutches while you're there, and if they don't look burnt or there's no hot spots on the steels, put her back together. As long as the clutch isn't leaking anything, then you're going to be golden. You just have to kind of inspect it. But I mean, those are the two things that are the most failure prone parts on a 4L60E. If you wanted to go one step further than that, get you the Sonex heavy duty 2-3 shift valve, and it'll keep you from worried about breaking that Sprag too. Yeah, I've been trying to get Ray Bestis to float me a bone here, see if I can make something work with it. Because I really like their clutches. I like them better than I do the Borg Warners. But Borg Warner is usually the clutch of choice that GM uses from the factory. So just like if y'all didn't know, on your rear gears for your differentials, most of those are made by American Axle Manufacturing. So if you want an exact replacement gear set, get you an American Axle manufactured gear set. I used to buy a lot of stuff from DTS, Drivetrain Specialist. They were always a good company to do it. Yukon Gear and Axle, obviously, you can do it. But yeah, in fact, I had a buddy of mine contact me. He said he's got a friend of his that he just had his he just put a new 5.3 in front of in his pickup. or Tahoe or something. Anyway, but he says that the transmission was rebuilt and about 20,000 miles ago, and he's lost 3/4 already. And I guess he's got a 450 horse 5.3 in front of it, which more than likely, if it was a stock rebuild, that's about what you'd get out of a 3/4 clutch, just because unless you beef it up, it's going to eat it. Yeah, Global Transmission Parts is a good place to get them too. Yeah, they do have a good website. I've been on there before on their site also. Um, I still try to get stuff from my guys in Kansas City, which the guy that I talked to is not in Kansas City. He's actually in Chicago. And then there's Total Transmissions in Chicago. Has got a ton of good hard parts, and he deals with precision overhaul kits and Borg Warner clutches. Oh, anytime, Mark. I mean, that's what this channel is supposed to be for anyway. Kind of a community type of deal. That's what I want it to be anyway. I know I've been slacking on getting y'all some content. I just, between getting sick and everything else going on, I just have not had time. And of course, this is my main source of where I get my information for what's going on in the world. So I'm just as bad as everybody else is when it comes to watch time. I can't tell you how many hours I've got on watching. I'd probably shock myself too. I spend too much time doing it. But it's supposed to be pretty nice tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get outside and, well, if you wanted to do that, I don't know how cheap that would be, but I keep thinking that probably what I ought to do is I ought to build one. I ought to build one online, or just a stock replacement. I know I've got a 4-wheel drive case out there. I think I've got a 4-wheel drive. Well, I know it's 4-wheel drive. So I've got an empty case out there that could use some love and putting together one, and then I just don't know if I want to do a carry out. I'm afraid of getting burnt on it. But in the same instance, you guys watched Austin and CJ and hit their transmissions, and I I take pride in them, and I stand behind them. So I mean, if it's something I did, then I'll fix it. But if it's just for a failed part, that's what it is. I got quite a few. Well, not quite a few, but Hybrid Muscle Garage had asked me about doing a 6L80 online, and I've actually got one that I need to make a video on for you guys, because I think you'd find it interesting. It's an interesting transmission. Fairly simple, probably one of the most simple ones to to overhaul in my book. I mean, it's just time consuming because the parts are bigger, but pretty interesting. Mike, I've heard that like Easy Off oven cleaner works real well. Just of course, you wouldn't want to leave it sit on there very long, but I've heard that stuff works pretty good. Dawn dish soap is also a good degreaser. Trying to think of what else I've used in the past. I think the Easy Off oven cleaner works better than the actual, like the degreaser that you buy at the parts store. I had I have yet to do it yet, but Super Clean sent me a care package that I wanted to try on doing some degreasing like that. I'm interested to see how that turns out. The Purple Power does work good. That's some pretty neat stuff. I've tried that before. It works good for cleaning all sorts of stuff. I used to use it on floors. Oh, that's right. I did, didn't I? Man, I've slept since then. So that's pretty sad when I don't even remember what I've done on my own videos. People don't understand how versatile Goop hand cleaner actually is. Not the gritty stuff, the old freaking white gel looking stuff. And what people don't understand is that's like a form of diesel fuel. Um, it works good for getting stains out of clothes. I kid you not. I've used it I don't know how many times. You smear it in there and let it sit for a little bit and wash it in cold water. That crap will come right out of there. It's crazy. First time I seen it where they said that you could use that on the back on clothes, I was like, no. And I tried it. And I was like, holy crap! Look at that. Anyway, man, I can't believe this month's almost over already. Going into March here for too long. What do we got left? 9 days left of this month. Actually, 8 because we're close enough to Sunday. But that's one way to do it, Jerry. Yeah, that would definitely melt some grease off there. Might create a little bit of a smoke show too. 8 straight 8 from 48 Hudson. That's funny. It's funny you say about the Hudson. There was a gal up north that was getting rid of a bunch of those. Was it Hudson? Well, anyway, they had straight eights in them too, and they were unique for sure. Packard, that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, they were these Packards she was selling. They could have made a cool car. They were just out of my realm. But they had straight eights in them. I just think of how much that straight eight weighed back then, because they were heavy, because they were all cast iron. Excuse me. Yeah, catch garbage on fire for sure. So I'm actually follow this page on Facebook, Third Gen Camaro. And I was helping this kid out a little bit. I guess he was wanting to put a 5-speed in his Camaro, like most kids do, like any of us do, because his 4L60 was, or his 700 was going out. And he said, "Well, I carb swapped it," and immediately it threw up a flag. It's like, I wonder if you got the right cable on it, or the right cable bracket and the right bracket on the carburetor. And he says, "Well, it broke and this and that, and it came unhooked." And I think he's thinking that he can find the 5-speed for next to nothing, and just slap it in there and away you go. But what about all the other connecting stuff, like the flywheel and the pressure plate and the clutch and the bell housing and the fork and the slave and master cylinder and the clutch pedal setup, and drive shaft should just swap right in. But I told him, I says, you could fix that 700 a heck of a lot cheaper than it would be to do all that swap. But I mean, it just doesn't. I don't think he realized what kind of a job he's actually wanting to do. And I think he was wanting to do it like yesteryear. But I'm sure he wants to be able to drive the car. So I told him, I says, the best thing you can do is just fix that 700, which is going to be cheaper. Make sure you have the right bracket and the right bracketry on your carburetor to make that cable work properly. Because that is the lifeblood of a 700 R4. If you don't have that cable, or that cable's not right, not adjusted right, you will burn that transmission up, just period. So anywho, all right, kids, I think I've probably just about bored everybody to death. I rattled more than I thought I was going to be able to rattle. I sure appreciate everybody stopping by and saying hey. I do appreciate it. And I think I'm going to get off of here for tonight. So y'all take care of yourself, take care of each other. God bless you, and God bless America. We'll see you in the next one.